Hello YouTube friends, Gales here. Before we get to today's video, I am happy to announce that I recently made a Patreon, a place where I can upload all my visual novel content, including sprites, screenshots, CGs, story excerpts, behind the scenes look, and more. There's currently 2 tiers, a hatchling tier for those who may be uncomfortable with mature situations. This is the tier just for you. You'll only see all the censored versions and content that is romantic, but more tasteful and modestly censored. However, if you're more into mature and uncensored romance, then you'll want to consider the dragon tier. Adult dragons get access to everything the hatchlings do, but additionally they get the uncensored versions as well. In the future, the dragons will also be able to play all my visual novels in early access before they're released on itchio, the first of which will be a Halloween-themed romantic dramedy called Monster Boyfriend. If you haven't heard of it, this is a brand new visual novel I've been working on and hoping to finish the first chapter and get into early access for my Patreon members sometime before Halloween 2024. Additionally, I've also got a few X readers on there, both safe for work and not safe for work options. My most recent being the first monthly Patreon exclusive featuring not only an X reader, but also digital fan art of Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3. So if you enjoy visual novel content, X readers, or just want to see what sort of creative projects I've been working on lately, feel free to browse my Patreon. I upload new content at least once a week, so you'll have something to look forward to all month long. As a bonus, I'm hosting a raffle. You can find the details on Patreon as well to find out ways you can earn yourself a free digital art commission from yours truly. So if you're over the age of 18 and you enjoy my artwork, writing, visual novels, or just want to show some support so I can keep making free videos like this one and keep doing what I do, please consider becoming a member of my budding community. And if you can't afford to become a paid member, you can still support me by liking and subscribing here on YouTube. It's free, but really helps me out as a creator. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Hello YouTube friends, Gales here to play another visual novel. This one is called Hardships of a Vampire, the Ghost's Call. I believe it's a boy's love, and it is for Spooktober 2024. So, really nice looking main menu. Pretty simple, gets the job done GUI wise. I like the little logo here, the little ghost. It's cute. Looks a little sad. Yeah, I want to make sure I get better about mentioning content warnings. So this one's got content warnings for flashing lights and mentions of death. So just wanted to point that out. Okay. Alright, but other than that, let's get to it. It was 5 in the morning. Thanks to it being winter, the sun wouldn't rise for another hour or so. I'm not sure which is which. Good work today, Elias. Oliver, let's leave. Which direction are you going? This way. Great. My car is also parked near that block. Let's walk together. Nice looking sprites. Not really sure how old the characters are. If I had to guess, it's kind of hard to tell because of the art style. The art style's a little cutesy, I think, but if I had to guess, probably late teens, maybe early 20s. That'd probably be my guess, but I'm not really sure. Oliver and Elias, Oliver's co-worker, they were leaving after they had finished work at the convenience store. Yeah, so we at least know they have a job, so yeah, they gotta be either late teens or early 20s is my guess. It was rare that they both worked together during the night shift. Due to the high crime rate in their area, most people didn't want to work the night shift, though it was mandatory for 2 people to handle the shift together. It's rare that 2 people actually turned up. Okay. Oliver mostly worked alone at night because he could only work the night shift. It was an unfortunate symptom of being a vampire. The sun wasn't Oliver's friend, and he needed the money to buy blood, which had been getting more and more expensive. As a newly turned vampire, Oliver had become even more broke than he had been as an orphaned human. Being a vampire was so expensive. As for Elias, Oliver didn't know why he sometimes joined him on the night shift. Since their first day of working together, Elias... Sorry. How do you say that? Elisa? I don't know. Had always given Oliver the impression of being a person who was above money. The handsome man looked too good for this manual job, and while he dressed plainly, there was certainly a sense of regality to him. Oh, maybe it's just a typo. Yeah, I think it's a typo. I think it is Elias, but that was just a typo. Okay, because I was confused. I'm like, have I been saying it wrong? No. Okay, Elias was carrying some bags of cat food that he'd bought from the store before leaving. That was new. That looks heavy. Do you want some help? Thank you, but these bags are easy to manage. Elias lifted the bags high with only one hand. Yeah, I see that. Did you recently adopt a cat? A wild one, yes. This was 2 weeks ago. He didn't seem to like me, though. I'm sure he'll warm up to you soon. Oliver looked at the cat food. There was a sticker on it showing a black cat with a line of text. Even ghost cats will love this, he laughed. Then why they even do Halloween marketing on cat food these days, huh? Oliver, do you believe in ghosts? Huh? Oliver turned and saw Elias's face close to his expression darkened by the shadows. Oliver blushed and took a step back. Why did Elias always seem to step into his personal space? Sorry, did I startle you? Yeah, I was just spacing out. So, do you think ghosts exist? That's so random. What gives? Well, I just think about it, what season it is. I thought it'd be a good topic for small talk. Oh, right. I guess Halloween is 3 days away. I think ghosts would be the last of our worries, though, working in this place. Oliver gestured to the dark, dirty road, which was dimly lit by some rare, unbroken road lights. I was just thinking, if you think they exist, they could be cute, harmless ghosts and all that. Oliver seriously thought about that. Considering his own existence, would he himself count as a ghost? He had died, but his soul was still bound to his body, which now needed another source of energy. Or maybe his soul had ceased to exist when he'd become a vampire, and his body was keeping itself animated in a different way. Oliver wanted to believe that souls existed, and his body was more than just a husk. Yeah, I think it does. Me too. I'm glad that we think alike. So, Oliver, you should be careful. There might be cute, harmless ghosts out there, but there are scary ghosts too. You'd best keep an eye out. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Now, I need to go this way. I'll see you later. Elias patted Oliver's shoulder. Then he turned a corner and walked into an alley, waving back at Oliver over his shoulder with one hand until he was engulfed in darkness. What in the... Oliver stood there dumbfounded. He touched his shoulder, wondering what Elias had meant by that. What a mysterious man Elias was. Oliver could never understand him. Oliver decided to take a shortcut to get home. He needed to get back as soon as possible before the sun rose. Suddenly he heard strange sounds from a nearby alley. Give that phone to me, brat, and all your money too. You'll regret it otherwise. Someone was being robbed. Oliver knew that he should ignore it. His time outside was limited, and if he showed up to help, he would most likely be robbed along with a victim. He also needed the money to buy his blood supply for that month. Stay away from me! Oh, that was clearly the voice of a kid. Unfortunately, Oliver found his feet moving on their own towards the source of the disturbance. He couldn't ignore them now, not when he knew the victims were children. As he was about to turn a corner, he sent an emergency message to the police with their location. The police weren't very competent, and they had trouble handling such a lawless area, but they still had to keep up appearances. They would probably show up late, but they'd still show up at some point. This was what Oliver had learned, at least after being robbed and assaulted multiple times during his first year of working at the convenience store. As Oliver was about to come out from his hiding place, a bright blue light flashed in the alleyway. Arrgh! Suddenly there was a scream. It was the robber. Heavy footsteps followed, which began to fade away. It sounded like the kid had escaped. Oliver peeked at the alley again, his eyes blurry from the sudden flash. A strange scene materialized before him. His vision was so blurry he could barely make out a burly man crouching on the ground, an electric blue, translucent human form floating above him. The ghostly form turned toward the corner where Oliver was hiding, which startled him. Then it disappeared. So my theory, it might be early for a theory, is that's probably Elias, don't you think? Doesn't it seem kind of convenient that Elias was asking about ghosts and then all of a sudden a ghost appears, just like shortly after he left? It just seems a little too conveniently timed close together. Then it disappeared. Oliver rubbed his eyes. Except for the crouching robber, the alley was empty. Isn't Oliver like a vampire? Doesn't he have like super strength or something? Shouldn't he be able to easily kick a human's butt? That's, I mean, I guess it just depends. I guess every vampire lore, I guess, is a little different, but so maybe he doesn't have the super strength and the, you know, any supernatural powers or anything like that. As he decided to avoid trouble, a thought nagged his mind. Had that really been a ghost? It was all Elias's fault that he was thinking so much about this now. Logically, Oliver knew that he shouldn't be afraid of ghosts, not when he was a member of the undead himself. But this ghost had taken down a huge man, something Oliver never would have been able to do. I mean, did he take him down or did he just scare him? It looked like he just scared him to me. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe, I don't know. How would a ghost even attack somebody? Who knows? As Oliver thought this, his pace through the maze of alleyways became faster and faster. He hoped the ghost wouldn't follow him. Bam! As Oliver turned a corner, he hit something hard and was knocked over, a body falling on top of him in the process. Oh, I've been getting absorbed in the story, but I really like the background. It looks really nice. I like the I like all the little details, like, you know, the graffiti on the walls. This is kind of cute. I like the little cracks and all that. It's very nice attention to detail. Very cool. And the GUI is really nice. I really like this text box. These little ghosts, they're so cute. Alright, let's get back to the story, though. As Oliver turned a corner, he hit something hard and was knocked over, a body falling on top of him in the process. Oliver? Leo. Leo was a frequent customer at his convenience store. He'd become a regular after Oliver had helped him out in a bit. He was really enthusiastic, and he often hung around to talk to Oliver after buying something. Oliver didn't want to assume, but he had a feeling that Leo went to the store to keep Oliver's company during those late nights. Oliver was always grateful to Leo for that. Oliver didn't know for certain, but he guessed that Leo was a member of a nearby gang, because he'd looked like he had been involved in a bloody fight the first time they'd met. Leo also complained to Oliver about how his boss kept calling him at odd hours to do dangerous jobs, though he never specified what these jobs involved. Oliver, fancy meeting you here. Why are you in such a hurry? I have no idea how to do it. Sorry, I'm bad at voices. Alright. Oh, I just saw something that surprised me. Really? What? Are you hurt? Leo leaned in and scanned Oliver up and down, his face so close that it made Oliver blush. He's a nice looking character. Wow, this is like a super tight. I mean, I'm not complaining. That's some nice looking abs there, but nice looking six pack. But this is like a super tight shirt. It's like skin tight. Maybe it's just like it's not even like a tank top. It's just like tights, you know, like a tights only a shirt, I guess. Leo leaned in and scanned Oliver up and down, his face so close that it made Oliver blush. It's nothing really, I just thought I saw a ghost. A ghost, huh? Well, it's almost Halloween. Did you get a good look at it? To Oliver's surprise, Leo seemed to be taking this seriously. It was blue and translucent. I wonder, do the other people know that he's a vampire? Because if they know he's a vampire and that vampire is real, then obviously it wouldn't be so unheard of for a ghost to be real if the supernatural exists in this world, and at least his friends would be aware of it. Anyway. Nope, it doesn't ring a bell. I thought it might have been a particular member of the undead. Undead? Yeah, like vampires and zombies, that sort of thing. Immaterial beings are rare. I've heard they can't be seen too early in this plane of existence. Seen too easily in this plane of existence. You've heard. Oops. Leo laughed and ran a hand through his hair. I wasn't supposed to let that slide. Don't mind me, Oliver. It's just a myth. I'm big into the supernatural, and since it's Halloween, well, I guess I got a bit excited. Well, I had been wondering about your clothes for a while. I guess it makes sense. And would you mind taking a step back, please? To be honest, the crosses on Leo's outfit were making Oliver feel uncomfortable at such close quarters, so can he not, like, touch him or something, I guess? Mass-produced decorative crosses and fashion accessories didn't usually bother Oliver, but Leo seemed surprisingly authentic. He was probably more passionate about his hobbies than he let on. You know, you're the second person who's told me that today. Hey, how about this? I can lend you one of my earrings if you'd like. It was enchanted by a powerful cleric. It should keep you safe as long as you keep hold of it. Leo removed his earring off and reached toward Oliver. Oliver, meanwhile, scuttled back, avoiding the offered earring. He could feel the threatening aura from that earring, even from a distance. He was sure it would be very painful if he made contact with that thing. No. I can't take something so valuable. I'm afraid I'd lose it. I could never keep track of something so small. Yeah, so they definitely aren't aware that he's a vampire, because then he wouldn't have done that. Are you sure? 100% sure. Besides, I can take care of myself. Leo looked disappointed, but he accepted this. Fine, how about this? It must be like one of those where the vampires can, like, retract their fangs. One of those types of vampires. Leo started rummaging through his pockets, but Oliver cut him off. Yeah, because you can see his mouth open. You can't really see any fangs or anything. So he definitely doesn't really look like a vampire. So either he can disguise himself as a human, retract his fangs, something like that. So yeah, normal colored eyes. They're not red or anything. Skin isn't even really that as pale as you would expect from a vampire. But yeah, I mean, he looks normal. So oh, look at the time. I've got to go home now. See you. Oliver turned his heels and ran, avoiding whatever offending objects Leo could try and thrust at him next. Interesting, like, zoom in with the camera and whatnot. At long last, Oliver finally got home safely. The sight of the rusty door under the staircase looked a lot more inviting than it usually did. Oliver sighed in relief as he shut himself in his room. He had only managed to move out from the vampire shelter 2 weeks ago. Now he lived in what seemed to be a janitor's room under a staircase in an apartment. It was cramped and damp, but these were the only lodgings he could afford, what with all his other expenses. The room didn't have a window, which probably broke some sort of health and safety code. For a vampire like Oliver, however, it was a bonus. Oliver opened his rusty fridge. The only thing inside was a nearly depleted blood bag. It's running low. I need to visit Robert again soon. I like the idea of him getting his blood from a blood bank. That seems very wholesome for a vampire, and, you know, not something you see a whole lot of, so that's really sweet. I like that. It's kind of cute. It's running low. I need to visit Robert again soon. Robert was the owner of a legal vampire shelter who also sold blood supplements for vampires sourced from various places. Despite popular beliefs, it was taboo for vampires to take blood from humans forcefully. The government was aware that vampires existed, and it employed a group of vampire hunters to exterminate dangerous vampires who couldn't abide by the law. At least, that was what Oliver had heard. As Oliver closed the fridge, he felt a sudden pain in his hand. Ouch! I keep forgetting about this electrical leak. Oliver had moved in with nothing to his name. The furniture and appliances in his room had been taken there from the beginning, and they were included in the rent, at least, according to the landlord. Oliver had some suspicions because the room looked as though it had been lived in recently, with many clothes and personal items left behind. The landlord had refused to tell Oliver what happened to the old tenant, and Oliver hadn't been able to press the issue. He couldn't afford to be choosy, not when he had so little money. In the end, nobody had returned to claim the old items lying around in the Oliver's room. So Oliver had them put away in a storage box. If he'd been an ordinary human, he probably would have found it suffocating to live in such a dark, dinky, claustrophobic room. Oliver sat down in front of his old laptop and started to work on his second job. It was a data entry online gig that employed Oliver at the lowest rate possible. Oliver knew he was being taken advantage of, but he had no choice. During the day, he couldn't leave this room, and he'd never had a chance to study or for any career before in his life had changed. One job, meanwhile, wasn't enough to sustain even the most frugal of vampires. Sometimes Oliver wondered whether it was worth it to try so hard. It was dark. He was suffocating. Oliver was desperate to breathe, but he couldn't. He was dying. Wait, he was already dead. Why did he need to breathe? A feeling of anguish washed over him. He didn't want to die. He had to live. He still had to... Had to what? Oliver woke up with a painful, burning sensation in his leg. I fell unconscious? How? Ouch. A searing pain shot through his body from his leg, which was literally burning under the sunlight. This is very strange. What happened? I mean, I guess that's kind of... I'm outdoors? Oh no, the sun isn't fully set yet. Gritting his teeth, Oliver limped... Is this like a flashback or a flash forward? I'm not really sure. Gritting his teeth, Oliver limped on his hands and knees and frantically pulled his whole body into the shade. This looks bad. I'll need to buy more blood to heal this. Half of his right leg was in a sorry state. The skin was pretty much charred. He could still smell the burning. To his relief, most of the damage was on the surface, and he could still move his leg. His paycheck was a week away, and he had barely any more money left. This was terrible for a broke vampire. Then again, he had pressing matters to worry about, such as getting inside as quickly as possible. Oliver was lucky there was so much shade and that the sun had already almost set already. It was no longer visible above the tall buildings. Looking around, he recognized this place. It was a small walkway next to a river close to his building. Oliver got up, scooting close to the wall, and limped away as fast as possible. As soon as the door closed behind him, Oliver threw himself on his bed and let out a heavy sigh. Finally, he could think about what happened. But try as though he might, he was at a loss. This didn't make any sense. He'd just been sitting in his room, working. Then he'd found himself outside with a burning leg. He couldn't have been sleepwalking, could he? No, that didn't make sense either. He didn't need to sleep, not unless he purposely put himself into energy conservation mode. Besides, in that mode, his body was practically dead, which made sleepwalking impossible. This lack of control scared him. What if next time he found himself waking up directly under the sun? He needed to ask Robert about this. When Oliver arrived at Robert's restaurant in the evening, the place was pretty busy. On the outside, Robert's restaurant was a normal family restaurant that served cheap food to humans. There was one key difference, however, which set it apart from regular family restaurants. It also served vampires. Welcome back, Oliver. Going to your usual booth? There were several small curtain booths for the regulars, which provided vampires privacy when they needed to feed. Can I talk to Robert? I have something important to ask him. Okay, come with me. Wait, what happened to your leg? Oliver had changed his pants and fully covered the injury, but he was limping and wincing with every step. I'd like to know what happened too. Well, if it isn't Oliver. Did you run out of blood already? You don't usually see me this early. Robert's booming voice reached Oliver's ear the moment the door of the back room closed. Oliver sometimes wondered how Robert had kept his business running in secrecy for so long when his voice was so loud. Maybe the bank of the building was soundproofed. I kind of got into a disagreement with the sun. Oliver pulled his pants leg to reveal the burn. What? How could you be so careless? Don't tell me you risked getting a sunburn so you could work a few more hours in that thankless job of yours. I told you, if money was that tight, you could always ask me for help. Didn't you know this place exists to support young vampires like you? I said it was way too early for you to move out. It's nothing like that. I know my limits. I was about to ask you about this strange incident. Stop. Drink this before talking. Robert turned around, opened a locked cabinet, and took out a very tiny old blood. It was only as big as a third of a finger. This one's nice and fresh. It was donated by a young, healthy athlete. It's much better quality than the usual frozen stuff you usually brought. Just this little amount could heal your injuries instantly. Hey, frozen's just fine. I don't mind taking my time with my blood. Besides, there was no way Oliver could afford high-quality blood like that. Don't be like that, Oliver. It's on the house. I couldn't possibly. Drink it right now. I won't do business with you no more. Oliver conceded and took the vial from Robert. Thank you, Robert. Without your help, I would never have gotten this far. I don't do this for just anyone, you know. You're a great kid, Oliver. Practically the nicest child I've ever taken in. My offer to adopt you is still on the table. You know my wife adores you. Isn't he like an adult? Maybe he is teenager, I guess. Teenager, I guess. I guess he could be adopted. Maybe the little younger than we thought. Maybe, like 16-year-olds sometimes work, so maybe 16, 17, maybe. Thank you, that's very kind. I just want to try working for myself a little bit longer. Oliver opened the vial of blood and downed it. True to Robert's words, the blood was of the highest quality. The burnt skin of his leg rapidly dried up and fell off, leaving smooth and unblemished skin underneath. Interesting. I have to say, I wasn't expecting this much lore and stuff, but it is really interesting stuff. I like it so far. Cool. Wow, I know you said it was effective, but I didn't think it would be this effective. Of course it is, so what was it you wanted to ask me about? Oh, so this happened. I see, so you lost control of your body and woke up outdoors, huh? It sounds like the case of possession to me. Possession? You mean that can really happen? Well, duh. Well, duh. Creatures like us exist, so why wouldn't ghosts? I forgot the voice I did for him. Oliver, do you believe in ghosts? Had that really been coincidence? So are you saying that a ghost possessed me? Uh-huh, it's rare, but it's that time of year when this stuff does happen. So a ghost can possess me, just like that? Well, it's usually easier for ghosts to possess the undead than humans, especially newly turned vampires like you. And it really only really happens around Halloween, when the barrier between the material and immaterial world is at its weakest. When you died, your physical body became an undead's, and it had to reestablish its connection with your soul. Oh yeah, that's also something we gotta keep in mind. He's a vampire, so even he could be older than he looks, so. But like they said, he's newly turned, so he's still a young vampire, so. Even by vampire standards, so. Anyway. That connection's pretty weak during the first couple of years after being turned, which lets rogue souls take control over you with the right conditions. Oliver shuddered at the implications. Could another soul really steal his body just like that? Yeah, that is kind of creepy. Don't be too scared. A rogue soul can't take you over permanently. It's not correctly synced to your body. A soul without a body can't stay in the material world for long. It needs to return to the other side within a week after Halloween, or it'll disappear. Oliver let out a sigh of relief. But possession can be a real serious condition, because ghosts are driven by their purpose to stay in this world. They tend not to think about how it'll affect their host. Oh. There are many, many ways vampires can get killed while they're being possessed. The ghosts might recklessly walk out into the sun or commit crimes to avenge themselves and get punished by vampire hunters in return. Robert, you're scaring me. Surely there must be some way to make the ghosts leave me alone. These cases are pretty rare, so I'm not really sure. There's usually some sort of catalyst that compels these ghosts to go after people, though. For example, you might have something that belonged to the ghost, or you might have visited a place that the ghost did while it was alive. I don't think I have any belongings other than my clothes and laptop. But I thought I saw something that looked like a ghost last night. Something that looked like a ghost. Yeah, it was a translucent, glowing blue figure. That doesn't make sense. Ghosts shouldn't be visible. Without a body, their presence in the human world is very weak. And during the rare cases, clairvoyants have been able to see them. They aren't blue, and I've never heard of them glowing in the dark. Maybe a human was using a lamp nearby, or some sort of glowing toy. Well, I heard fighting before I saw the ghost. Do you think it was some sort of weapon? Wait, why are you loitering around with fighting humans? Haven't I told you that's dangerous? I heard a kid voice, though. Robert patted Oliver's shoulder. Look, kid, I know you have a good heart, but you're not a human anymore. That means you don't have any human rights, but you also don't have any of the same obligations humans do either. A young vampire like you is vulnerable to many things, even formless things like ghosts can harm you. I can't help it though, I've never been able to ignore somebody in trouble, and even if I do get attacked, they won't be able to kill me. Well, I can't stop you, but you should try valuing your second life a bit more. You should probably try finding some clues about the ghost though. If you don't have any haunted items, maybe you did go into a haunted place. Didn't you move into a rental room recently? Oliver thought about the room he was staying in. It definitely looks like it could be haunted. You could look for clues about the identity of the ghost. Ghosts are usually driven by some attachment to the living world. If you can help fulfill the ghost's last desire so it no longer feel attached, it'll probably leave you alone. And if that's possible, get an exorcist to get rid of it, I guess. But they might get rid of you in the process since you're a vampire. And that's not funny. Sorry, kid. I don't know any exorcists myself. I try to avoid them as much as possible. How about this? I can lend you one of my earrings. It was enchanted by a powerful cleric. It should help keep you safe so long as you keep it close. Actually, now that Oliver thought about it, Leo might have known an exorcist or two. He wanted to avoid that himself, however, if at all possible. Well, worst comes to worst, you could always stay in one of the underground confinement rooms here. The ghost can't harm your body when you're locked up. You'll only need to stay down there a week after Halloween passes. Oliver shuddered at the thought. The confinement rooms existed to lock up vampires who'd lost control of themselves, and who were liable to attack humans violently, just like animals. Oliver had seen a vampire like this only once before, and he'd not been able to bear looking at its lifeless, zombie-like eyes. The thought of being incarcerated with these wild beasts gave him goosebumps. I think that's overkill. I believe I can still manage. Good luck, kid. Be careful out there. I'm gonna save because I've been playing for a while now. Really nice. Cool. The convenience store work that night passed uneventfully, thankfully without a repeat of the possession problem. Oliver let Elias take over and was about to leave when Elias called out to him. You've been sighing a lot today, and your complexion looks worryingly pale. Did something bad happen? It's that obvious, huh? Oliver hadn't noticed at first, but he now realized his energy had been depleting much faster than usual. The dose of blood Robert gave him would have usually given him a week's worth of energy, but it was less than 8 hours later, and he already felt hungry as though he did not have any blood at all. If this was also a side effect of possession, then even if it wouldn't get him killed, it would certainly kill his wallet. Just let me know if you need any help, Oliver. It's nothing. It wasn't like Oliver could tell Elias he'd been possessed, and he definitely couldn't tell him he was a vampire. He'd sound insane. Remember what I talked about yesterday? Ghosts can be dangerous. You can always ask for help if you need it. Oliver froze. Elias sounded like he knew something. Yeah, he does. And, did you notice, his name is like, isn't that the similar color as the ghost? I don't know. I'm still thinking my theory. It could be true. Thank you. I'll keep that in mind. Oliver decided that he should look for some clues on his own before he began bothering other people. As Oliver hurried home, he ran into Leo again. Oliver, do you think it's fate we've met here twice in a row? Well, this is my way home. And this is the pastoral route the boss assigns to me. It's still fate, though. Oliver didn't want to get embroiled in any of the most likely illegal activities Leo and his gang got up to, so he hoped not. Wait, you look really pale. Did you get sick or something? First Elias and now Leo. Oliver wondered if one of the side effects of being possessed by a ghost was looking uglier. It's nothing. I think I just need to get more sleep. Are you sure you don't want to borrow one of my earrings? It's authentic and works well, I promise. Don't worry, I'm good. I have urgent business at home, so I've got to go now. Oliver ran past Leo as quickly as possible before Leo could pass him any of his torture toys. He appreciated the thought, though. As Oliver hurried home, he decided to start looking around his house. Oh. Do I get Ooh, we get it's a point and click. Yay! I do enjoy point and clicks. Alright, let's start with that. Tiny closet where some of Oliver's clothes and books were stored. Nothing else in here. Oliver's sun cloak. Big with long sleeves, it covered him from head to toe. The material could reduce the sun's effect on vampire up to 80% depending on weather condition. The only downside was its super heavy weight and bulkiness. It's impossible to run when wearing it. It was a gift from Robert. Oliver hung it there for emergencies, but he rarely wore it. A small cabinet that held some pots and pans. Oliver's rarely opened the cabinet because he didn't cook. Oliver began to pull the items out one by one. There was pots and pans, nothing special. A small cabinet that held some dishes. Oliver rarely opened the cabinet because he didn't cook. Oliver began to pull the items out one by one. There was a pet bowl. There was something written in permanent marker on the side of the bowl. Ruru. Ruru? Ruru. Did that mean the owner had a pet called Ruru? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Oliver's laptop. Oliver picked it up in the trash and fixed it himself. Very outdated and slow. Oliver was only able to do basic tasks with it. Watching streams was impossible. An old fridge left by the last tenant. It had an electrical leak that Oliver kept forgetting about. Is there anything I'm missing? Oh. Oliver's umbrella. Just a normal umbrella, but it helped in rainy, gloomy days. A cardboard box that held some personal items of the old tenant. A cup, a toothbrush, some towels, and clothes. There was something that looked like paper poking out from a t-shirt's pocket. Oliver pulled it out. It was a photo. It was very faded, but Oliver could see someone holding a very tiny kitten. He couldn't make out the face of the man. Oliver decided to go out and ask the neighbors about it. After knocking on every door on the same floor, Oliver didn't find too much information. Most people didn't open their door at night, and for a good reason. And the one who did kept a weapon pointed at him as they talked. They confirmed that there had been a man and a cat living in Oliver's room for over a year before him, but both of them went missing 3 weeks ago. So the old owner had only been missing for a week before the landlord had rented this place out to Oliver, and he'd not even removed the former tenant's belonging? It was no wonder Oliver had been possessed. He felt so scammed by the landlord. The good news, even if it was rather grim, was that the old tenant had probably died outside. No matter how cheap the room was, Oliver had no desire to live in a cramped, windowless room that somebody had died in. It would have been like sharing a coffin with another corpse. Oliver doubted that even vampires would tolerate an arrangement like that. As morning approached, Oliver decided to lock his door and hide the key away. So okay, I do want to say something here. So I really do like all this lore and stuff, and the investigating is kind of cool and all that. But knowing that this is supposedly a boy's love, I do wish we would get some more, and maybe it will come later, and I'm just trying to rush it, but I would like have some more time getting to know the other characters, you know, like the Leo and Elias, yeah. I wish we'd spend more time with them and whatever. So while this investigating thing is interesting, maybe it'd be even more interesting if he was investigating with one of his friends or something, or you know. I'm not sure which one's the love interest specifically, or if they're both possible love interests. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the page again. I want to get to know them better, you know, especially if we're gonna end up being going the romance route or whatever. Maybe there's a friendship route. I don't know. I haven't played this, obviously, so I have no idea what to expect. I do glance at the main page, honestly, but I don't memorize it or anything like that. So as morning approached, Oliver decided to lock his door and hide the key away. Surely a ghost wouldn't have a sound enough mind to look for a key, would they? It was so dark. He was falling, flailing around to find something to grab onto. He couldn't breathe. It was so suffocating. Is he being possessed again? He mustn't lose consciousness, however. Not before blank was safe. Oliver opened his eyes and found himself knee-deep in water. What? He barely managed to keep his balance on the slippery, concrete-reinforced bank and avoided falling in fully. Shit, locking the door didn't work. So yeah, maybe if they went missing or whatever, maybe it's the old tenant who's possessing them. Maybe they're looking for their cat or something. Who knows? Anyway. Ruru. Thankfully, it was already night, so he didn't have to worry about being burned. Or maybe he's being possessed by the cat, and the cat's looking for the owner. That would be an interesting twist. Who knows? I guess we'll keep playing and find out. Wait, night? Oliver couldn't find his phone anywhere, which was a blessing, because that old thing would surely die if it got submerged in this murky water. It is interesting that it keeps bringing him back here, so there must be something here that the ghost wants to find. Something they're looking for, and they're trying to use his body to get to it, I guess. Oliver couldn't find his phone anywhere, which is a blessing because that old thing would surely die if it got submerged in this murky water. With no means of checking the time, Oliver wondered whether he was late for work. He was sure that he'd been working in his room most of the day, but he couldn't remember anything from 5 p.m. afterwards. Oliver hurriedly climbed up the riverbank and ran back home as fast as possible. The door was slightly ajar, the lock broken. A heavy wooden chopping board was lying in his room next to the door, a sign that it had been broken by force from inside. Crap, I just moved here 2 weeks ago. The landlord is going to be so unhappy with this. Oliver couldn't care less about the landlord's feelings, but he needed a place to stay. As he picked up the pieces of the broken lock, his phone started ringing on the desk. Oh no, it must be work. To Oliver's relief, it was Elias who was calling, not the manager. Oliver, you're 15 minutes late to your shift. Did something happen? Sorry, I'm a bit of a trouble right now. Can you cover for me for half an hour, please? I'll try to come as soon as possible. I can handle it, don't worry. Just take your time. It's not like the convenience store gets a lot of customers anyway, given the location. Thank you so much. You're a lifesaver. Do you need any help? If whatever is troubling you is too much to handle, you need only ask. It is Halloween tomorrow, you know. What does that have to do? And it only really happens around Halloween, when the barrier between the material and immaterial world is at its weakest. Not for the first time, Oliver wondered if Elias knew something. This really was too much of a coincidence. Should he ask Elias for help? Yeah! Why not? Ask for help. That's what I've been saying. Hey, Elias, I kind of have some problems related to what I asked you earlier. Can we talk about them after work? After covering up his door and making himself presentable, Oliver managed to arrive at work. His shift passed uneventfully. What is it you wanted to ask me? You look troubled. So these weird things have been happening. Oliver told Elias everything, omitting the key detail that he was a vampire. You mean to say that the former tenant of your apartment is haunting you and he carried your body over to the river? Yeah, it feels like he's looking for something. Do you know what they look like? I might be able to find some information on them. I have this photo, but it's too faded to make out his face. Oliver handed the photo to Elias. This is... For a flash second, Oliver thought he saw Elias's eyes widen. Did something ring a bell? Do you recognize him? Is the cat in this photo his? Yes, I heard that this man and his cat went missing at the same time. And you've been sleepwalking near the river, next to the ruins of the old abandoned factory, right? Yeah, it's close to that place. Then I think I know what this ghost has been looking for. Elias told Oliver to go home and wait until the evening to meet up at the riverbank near the abandoned factory. It was early evening as the sun just set. Oliver prepared to leave to meet Elias right away. On his way out, Oliver saw several kids in makeshift costumes from rags and plastic bags who were playing in the hallway. It was only then that Oliver realized it was Halloween. As he made his way over, all the kids ran off in different directions. Most kids in this neighborhood were taught to never get in the way of adults. It was kind of sad, but Oliver was too broke to afford even the cheapest candy to give them anyway. When Oliver arrived at the river, Elias had yet to arrive. Out of the corner of his eyes, he saw a glowing blue light down a nearby alley. It looked just like the ghost he saw the other day. As Oliver was about to move over, his vision suddenly began to blur. Not again. Knowing he was about to lose consciousness, Oliver tried to fight it. It was a losing battle, however. His vision continued to get darker and darker as his consciousness slipped away from him. That's quite enough. Strong arms embraced his shoulders. Elias's voice was so close to Oliver's ear, his breath tickling his neck. Leave him alone. What you've been looking for isn't in the river. I brought it here for you. Oliver felt his head move against his will. Clearly the ghost was still in control, even if Oliver could still see. In his hand, Elias was holding a cage. Ruru? Though the name escaped hoarsely from Oliver's lips, it was obvious the ghost had been the one to say it. Oliver's body sank down to his knees and opened the cage with shaking hands. Aww. A bi-colored cat shot out and jumped on his chest, licking his face. Ruru, you're alive. I tried my best to throw you to the shore, but I thought I didn't make it. I picked him up during a storm 2 weeks ago. I guess at that time you'd already drowned. Oliver's eye twitched at Elias's bluntness. He helped Elias head and angered the ghost. Thank you. Thank you so much for saving Ruru. So, he's called Ruru, huh? I've been calling him Palm, but he hasn't been responding to that name. Or to me in general, come to think of it. I suppose I'll have to make do with Ruru then. No, I don't think the name is the main problem. Now you can return that body to my cute friend. I believe that you've caused him enough problems already. Okay. Tell him I'm sorry. Be nice to your new owner, Ruru. I'm so happy I was able to see you one last time. Oliver could feel a weight lifted from his body. He blinked, one hand resting against Ruru's furry back. Aww. Ruru looked up at the sky and mewed pitifully. Oliver resumed petting Ruru and also looked up. There was less light pollution by the river than there was in the heart of the city, and it was shining with stars. He left. He did indeed. It was lucky for him that I adopted this little thing. Thank you. If you hadn't found Ruru, I'd probably be at the bottom of the river right now. Nah, that wouldn't happen. I think it would have worked out worse for the ghost than for you. Huh? Suddenly, Ruru jumped at Elias and violently clawed at his shirt. Meow, meow. Elias picked him up by the scruff of his neck, a smile unwavering. My, you're a feisty one, aren't you? I didn't even do anything. Don't you think your anger is unwarranted? Oliver took Ruru from Elias and gave him a reassuring pet. Here. Ruru calmed down and nuzzled his head against Oliver's hand. He seems to like you. Too bad. No matter how hard I try, I can't seem to get him to relax around me. Maybe he just needs some time. He just lost his owner after all. Here, try rubbing this place. Aw. Oliver took Elias's hand in his and moved it to rub Ruru's fluffy head. Ruru, whose eyes had been half-lidded in contentment earlier, cracked them open. However, he soon closed them again and continued to purr. Aw. You're surprisingly good at this. I can't afford to keep a cat, but I fed enough strays, back then, to know all their favorite spots. I can teach you. I would love to learn. Consider this the way of returning my favor. Now we're even. Let's teach Elias to pet the cat. Oh, we get to pet the cat! Yes. Pet. Aw, so cute. Yeah, I was gonna say, cats don't like their bellies rubbed, though. See, he looks happy. You really have a way with cats. I'm impressed. If there's anything else I can help you with, please let me know. You really helped me out there. Oh, you needn't fuss about that, Oliver. Simply being with you is more than enough. I beg your pardon? Huh. Well, never mind. Aw, ending 1. Oh, so there's multiple endings, huh? Interesting. Alright, that was really cute. Not bad. Alright, so I want to check out and see what this other ending is. It's nothing I can't handle. Don't worry about it. Oliver was at least a supernatural being. He knew better than to get an ordinary human involved in his mess. At least as a vampire, he was harder to kill than a human, so long as he stayed away from the sun and from enchanted items. Leo's face flashed through Oliver's mind. Leo seemed like he had the connections needed to deal with this. As a vampire, getting help from an exorcist seemed even more dangerous than dealing with the ghost alone. However, Oliver sighed in defeat and started cleaning up as he could finally go to work. Yeah, so I went back up the page and looked, and I saw there's only 2 endings. So I'm like, I might as well go ahead and see what the other ending is. I'm assuming we end up with getting the Leo ending instead. So I want to see what the Leo ending is like. The night shift passed away uneventfully without any more possession incidents. Oliver kept himself busy sorting the goods in the storeroom and avoided talking to Elias. Elias didn't seem offended and told Oliver to call him if he needed help before they parted ways. Oliver felt guilty, but it was probably for the best. After getting home, Oliver used some planks of wood to nail the door shut. He decided to barricade himself inside for the whole day. The day passed by peacefully. In the evening, Oliver could hear the sound of kids running in the hallway arguing about whose costumes looked the best. Looking at the calendar, Oliver realized that it was Halloween. A feeling of dread washed over him. As if responding to his fear, he started feeling dizzy, his vision darkening. Oliver recognized this uncomfortable feeling. Could it be? No. Oliver could vaguely feel what was happening to his body. He was gripping something hard in his hand, and he was smashing something. Barricading the door hadn't worked after all. Before losing consciousness, Oliver was thankful the sun had already set. So it's getting possessed again. When Oliver returned to his senses, his vision was still pitch black, but he could feel the surrounding environment. He was submerged underwater. The suffocating, muddy water dragged him down deeper and deeper into its depths. Oh no, he'd underestimated the ghost. Oliver was a vampire, so his body couldn't drown. Once trapped underwater, however, his body would shut down to conserve energy, and he wouldn't wake up again until he supplied with blood. If a body floated up the river, giving it blood was the last thing anybody would do. They'd be more likely to take it to the mortuary. Though if he was exposed to sunlight, he'd burn to a crisp before that could happen. Oliver tried moving his body, but he couldn't. The ghost must have used the last energy he possessed before it had disappeared. Oliver looked at the surface helplessly. Was this the end for him? Suddenly, Oliver saw an electric blob of blue light from the surface. Was it the ghost? Hadn't it left when he was no longer of any use to it? The surface light suddenly scattered, and a black shadow broke through. It looked like a human. Was someone trying to save him? Oliver couldn't make out who it was, but he desperately used the last of his strength to reach out towards the figure. Finally, a hand grabbed his own. It felt warm in the cool water. Before closing his eyes, Oliver saw the face of his rescuer. It was Leo. Though Oliver had finally returned to the surface, he couldn't control his body. He couldn't move, couldn't open his eyes. The only thing he could do was feel what would happen to his body. Is he alive? It's been 5 minutes since I saw him throwing himself in the river. Faintly, Oliver could hear a kid's voice, so there'd been a witness. Oliver had wondered how Leo had found him so quickly. What are kids doing out running around late at night? I guess maybe if their parents, just are neglectful. They're like, get out of here, kid. Go outside. Go talk to strangers. I guess. Terrible. He felt his hands on his chest pressing down hard. Damn it, he's not breathing. Oliver couldn't help it. He was still alive, but he hadn't the energy needed to stimulate breathing. Suddenly, Oliver felt a hand holding his jaw, forcing his mouth open. Warm lips pressed against his, blowing hot air into his mouth. Normally, Oliver would have been flustered, but now his body reacted with survival instinct. He bit into Leo's lip, drawing blood, and sucked hard. The effect was immediate. I'm guessing it's supposed to be immediate. Leo's blood seemed to be of an even higher quality than what he'd drunk at Robert's. Finally, managing to regain some control, Oliver opened his eyes and saw Leo's surprised face, their lips still locked. So he was trying to give him mouth to mouth and he bit him. Oops. I'm so sorry. Oliver pushed Leo away with so much force he fell over backwards, hitting the ground with a thud. Easy there, Oliver. Be careful. Sorry. I thought I was being attacked, so I bit you. Oliver stammered out the first excuse he could think of. Don't worry about it. I'm just glad to see you're okay. Did anything happen to you, though? That kid over there said he saw you jumping in the river. Oliver looked over and saw a kid who was carrying something that looked like a drone. Okay. I thought this was like the poor area. Why do they have a drone? A rich kid? What's a rich kid doing here in this side of town? Maybe I'm getting mixed up. Maybe this is a different part down. Leo looked at Oliver seriously. He was obviously concerned. No, it wasn't nothing like that. I'm not suicidal, I swear. I didn't lie. I saw you jumping in with my own eyes. Look, I have a recording on my drone right here. The kid pushed some buttons and the drone glowed bright blue, projecting a photo of Oliver jumping in the river. Was that the light Oliver had seen during the last few days, the one he'd mistaken for a ghost? See, it's clear that you jumped. Leo turned back to Oliver, looking even more concerned. Don't look at me like that. It wasn't me, okay? This is what happened. Alright, well, I guess if it was the drone making that illusion, I guess there goes my theory. Darn. Oh well. So, ghosts had been harming you? I was afraid this might happen. That's why I told you to take my talisman. Seriously, you believe him? I think you both need to get help. And what are you doing out here this hour, kid? You should know that this is a dangerous area. Plus, that drone isn't something a kid like you should be carrying around. If you have something that expensive on you, you might as well ask to be robbed. Where do you live? I'll escort you home. Nope, I'm fine on my own. Bye. The kid ran off, clutching his precious drone to his chest as though Leo meant to rob him. Is this really alright? He saved me. I feel like I should thank him properly. Nah, it's fine. I don't want him overhearing what I'm about to tell you anyway. Leo took a cross from his pocket and brought it closer to Oliver's body. My earrings are more effective at warding off ghosts than this. But since they're currently at the cleric's for a bit of extra enchanting, this will have to do instead. Oliver immediately scuttled back, putting his arm up to defend himself. I don't think the ghost is possessing me anymore. That won't work. You sure? As sure as can be. Oh, and what's that on your arm, huh? Oliver looked at his arm. Circling around the scuff of his sleeve was a small collar? A cat's collar? Oliver remembered the photograph he'd seen of a man and a cat. Was he looking for his cat, then? If the collar was found underwater, then the cat had probably drowned. Aw, at least we know that it's not the case. Taking the collar from Oliver, Leo pressed his cross against it. The cross flashed and burned up the collar upon contact. Oliver scooted even further back, not wanting to let the fire anywhere near his body. What's happening? What's going on? It's as I thought. The ghost was hiding itself away in this collar after it left your body. In no time, the collar was engulfed in flames. Did you kill the ghost? Although Oliver had almost been killed by the ghost himself, he couldn't help but feel sorry for it. He'd been looking around desperately for his cat, and then he found proof that it had died. It seemed like such a sad end. Nah, I only burned the ghost's attachment to this world, so it can't hang around bothering people anymore. You'll be fine now, Oliver. Thank you, Leo. How do you know so much about this, though? I told you, I am interested in this stuff. Don't tell anybody else, though. My boss would kill me. Oliver couldn't imagine the reaction of a gang boss to his subordinate's favorite pastime. Maybe you could leave your gang and do this full time. No way. Well, you saved me, so thanks a lot, Leo. It's nothing. Just treat me to free food at the convenience store for a month. Sure, but please limit yourself to the amount my salary can cover. Oh, right. What is it? That bite you gave me sure was painful. Oliver stiffened. Had Leo figured it out? You need to learn to keep your teeth to yourself when you're kissing in the future, otherwise you'll hurt your partner. You're completely ruined the mood. But I don't mind letting you have another go. Do you want to practice? Leo, please, just forget about that. Aw, that was cute. Collin was running down the road, a drone floating next to him. Damn, did that guy follow me, Rai? No, he was I'm guessing, is that the drone? No, he was busy being all chummy with his friend. Rai's response came from the drone. Oh, is it like a walkie-talkie kind of situation? I don't know. So that was all a bluff, and I almost exhausted myself running too. According to my footage, he doesn't seem to be a bad guy. He's been rather active in this area, saving people and getting into fights with a lot of strangely violent people. I wouldn't have told you to ask him to lend a hand if it was dangerous. That's a good point. Why did you ask me to save that guy? I mean, I'd love to help others, but there's so much crime in this area and you usually ignore most of it. Why the special treatment? He tried helping you. I just wanted to return the favor. Me? But I swear I've never seen him. Do you remember what happened 2 nights ago when that thug tried to rob you? Oh, the one you paralyzed with your drum gun. Oh, so that's what happened. That guy was running towards you when he heard you scream, and he sent an emergency message to the police on this phone. Though naturally, I intercepted it. Wow, he really does sound like a nice guy. Anybody else would have turned tail in an instant, and he looks so weak, too. Thank you, Rai. I'm glad we saved him now. As am I. I appreciate everybody who tries to look out for you, Collin. You are very important to me. Damn, stop being so sappy, Rai. Ending 2. Yay! Alright, we got them both now. Aww. That's really cute. Alright, so now that we've seen both endings, I can do my review. Now, I did reread, go back and reread the main page. Apparently, this is a spin-off, so something to keep in mind. There is more to these characters than what we are seeing. But, that being said, I haven't played those. I've only played this, so my review is only going to pertain to this, not all of them as a whole. So, I did enjoy it, so I wouldn't mind going back and playing all the rest if I get around to it. But I always say that. I always say I wouldn't mind seeing more, you know, but sometimes, you know, I get caught up playing other things. There's so many things out there I want to try, so don't judge me if I forget or never get to it. But I would like to. Just saying. I really liked the artwork. I liked the story, and I really liked the lore. I liked the point and click aspects. I love getting to pet the cat. That was wonderful. I think the mystery was handled really well, and I like that when you play through both routes, you get like a better picture of the whole. So it's really good. I'm glad that I went back and I played through that other route, because I got to figure out what happened with that ghost thing, because it did feel kind of random, because it came up once and then never again, but they finally explained it at the end there, so that's great. I'm glad I did that. And I'm glad we found out that the cat is okay. The cat survived. That's great. In terms of constructive criticism, as much as I did enjoy the story and the lore, and I really enjoyed Oliver as a main character especially, he was great. Don't really see too many wholesome vampires out there, but he was so wholesome, man. As far as vampires go, it was just so sweet, and I loved him. He's great. Oliver is probably my favorite character. I feel like we got to know him the best, and he was great. I loved him. This was very light in terms of a boy's love, right? But for me, at least personally, I would have liked to get to know Elias and Leo a bit better, because it suggested that, you know, it was very light, but it was suggestive that it was kind of romantic, or at least interested in Oliver in that way. But I feel like we didn't really get to know them that well, so I didn't really find myself caring as much about them as I could have. I didn't really feel a connection between them. I felt more of a connection with Oliver. It's just something I wanted to mention. And there's not really anything you could do to fix that, really, I don't think. But I would have liked to see more scenes of Oliver getting to interact with Leo and Elias. Sorry, my voice is starting to die. This is what happens when I try to be completionist and play through everything all at once without taking breaks. I should have taken a break. And now I'm paying the consequences. But I'm almost done. Okay, so yeah. Anyway. But yeah, that's really my only complaint, is I would have liked to get to know Elias and Leo a bit better. I would have liked to see more interactions with him and with them and Oliver, so I could get a better idea of their relationships, and maybe even see like Leo and Elias interacting with each other, not just with Oliver, you know. Aside from that, though, I did enjoy this still. It wasn't quite what I expected. I expected the focus to be more on the romance and the boys' love, but instead it felt like it was more focused on the mystery and the lore of Oliver being a vampire and his daily life, slice of life kind of feel. which is okay. It just depends on what you're going for. But I'm just saying, it's just not what I was expecting going in. But it was still a pleasant surprise, and I still really enjoyed it. And like I said, I would love to see more. But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!